So I guess what we'll do, Doug, should we wait a few minutes and before we get it cranked up?
It usually buffers a little bit, so you just want to introduce yourself and kick off, and we'll
For sure.
keep going.
Okay, so I'm John Williams. I'm the owner at Pack and Paddle. Thank you all for coming. Everybody who's here, we kind of the history of this thing tonight is that we did a live version of this seminar a week or two ago, I think, and had a few technological challenges, shall we say. So we have decided to do an encore performance, and Doug's been nice enough to do that for us. Before we start, I just wanted to show everybody a couple of things on the website very quickly, and hopefully this works for me. But I wanted to make sure everybody knows, and we don't have a whole lot, but if you come here to trips, events, and rentals, and I should have looked at this beforehand so I did it right, but I think I'll have it right. Scroll down to rentals. We are going to offer, we only have 3 boats right now that we use for our trips. So we're going to go ahead and offer those for Ride the Bull. So if there's 3 people out there somewhere who want to go to Ride the Bull but need to have a Hobie kayak or rent a Hobie kayak, you can do that on our website. The other short thing that I wanted to mention, just because it's brand new and I wanted everybody to see it, is that we now have an online component where you can come in and you can look at tons of kayaks. Pretty much every kayak that we have that we sell in the shop is available online. We do not ship them. You can pick them up in the store, or if you live within a couple hours of the shop, we can arrange a delivery for you. Also, for those of you who might need some accessory type items, we've got tons of all that all set up here on the website. So when you get time after seminar, if you want to take a look around, come take a look around and check it out. So that's what's new kind of on the Pack and Paddle website. So I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling. We have a couple of folks here tonight that I'm going to introduce, and I'm going to start off. I'm going to introduce Doug, then Doug's going to introduce Rad. But we've got Doug Menefee with us. Doug's a longtime kayak fisherman. He's been on the Hobie team and the Pack and Paddle Hobie team for many years, and has been part of the Lafayette Kayak Fishing Club for many years, and is an experienced kayak fisherman, but even more so, a really good teacher. He's really good at explaining some of the concepts that help you learn how to be more successful, because, you know, to some degree, fishing is luck, but the more you go, the luckier you get. So Doug has gone fishing a lot, and he's got a lot to share. So we're looking forward to that. So what we're going to do, hopefully, here is I'm going to shift the meeting over to Doug, and he's going to take it over. Anything else I need to say before I shift it over, Doug?
No, I think that's it, John.
Okay, I'm gonna make you the host.
And John was being way too kind on the technological stuff. You'd think the tech guy knew how to work the technology. I didn't share my screen properly when I was doing the live seminar. So John, I think you need to stop sharing screen and then transfer over the host control over to me.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let me do that. Okay, is it shifted over?
I think so. I'm not positive, but
I did stop the screen share, and I think I already made you the host. So try it out.
Okay, great. So with us tonight, I'm glad that we were able to get Rad able to join us. Rad's with CCA, and Rad, I apologize. I'm not sure if you're CEO or executive director or head honcho over at CCA. I forgot to look up your actual title over there. So
hired help is fine with me.
Hired help. He's got his great son with him in the room. You can hear his family in the background over there at his house.
Do I need to move again?
as well? a family affair going on with it. But it's fantastic for Rad to be able to join us. And this really started off a couple of years back. John asked me to, do or Ride the Bull started up. And I said, hey, John, I'd love to do a seminar around catching bull reds, because there's an art, there's a science, there's a little bit of luck, there's a whole thing. And there's Ride the Bull thing is going on. And you got 300 to 700 people out here just kind of doing whatever they can to catch the bull reds. And I'd love to just share my knowledge on how to catch them. And I've done a little bit every year. And I think that the presentation has come together pretty nice. And this year I asked Rad if he could say a couple of words, a little bit more specifically about Ride the Bull. And we've got COVID going on. And as we go through the presentation, make it a little bit more of a conversation piece on, as we go through the presentation, more what's working, what's not working. And as I said, a little bit more on the luck and science of it, but what CCA has done and adopted this great event. And I mean, well over 300, 400 people attending this on a regular basis, and what it's done for the kayak community and worldwide recognition. So Rad, I'll turn it over to you with being head honcho and gatekeeper of this event now.
Well, a gatekeeper, herder of cats. I answered all of it. But Doug, thanks for having me. And look, I saw the presentation that you gave, I guess, last week at the store. And folks, y'all need to pay attention to this guy. He gets it. He understands it probably better than most. It truly is luck of the draw, which bait gets bitten. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, knowing some of the things that Doug has put together will definitely give you an advantage. There is some skill to this. But anyway, CCA has been involved with Ride the Bull since day one, when Danny and Kristen started it. And, unfortunately, when she lost her battle to cancer, Danny came to us and said, look, y'all sponsor since day one. You've been every volunteer position throughout those years. Can you take it over? And that's really kind of how CCA got involved. Not to mention most of the volunteers were a lot of the chase boats were all our guys and so on. And so we took it over and haven't really looked back. But at the same time, it is a challenge. It is something unusual to us. I throw the Star Tournament as well, where you have 13,000 anglers, but you don't crowd them all in one pass. So it is a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to roll with the punches. Unfortunately, had to cancel it last year due to COVID, and we're going to do everything in our power to make the party and the show go on this year. And we're kind of gathering prizes and getting everything ready to. Shirts are being printed as we speak. The bags are being printed. And so it's a go unless somebody forces my hand later.
That's great. So how many registrations do you have right now?
We're a little over 340, 345, which, believe it or not, is actually about typical for the early registration. So we put an early bird registration on it by August 1st. That way, I can't flip the switch and print 700 shirts and bags and so on. So we put that in there. That way we can get everybody that's going to register for sure, get them in, get them accounted for, and make some orders. And then usually you will have 100 or 2 trickle in through August. And then if the weather's good, we usually have 100 or 200 register, within 48 hours of it. And so, we're about on pace. We're probably a little behind, but not much. And so, as long as we don't have COVID problems or one of these tropical storms come our way, I think it's going to be a pretty good show.
At Pack and Paddle a couple of weeks ago, I emphasized that this is more than just a tournament. It's a social event, and I know COVID's going on, so it limits us with the social side of the equation. But it truly is a social event for the kayak community to come together and to celebrate in a group type of setting of an event. And I think that Danny Ray and Kristen really, that's what they saw, was it to be almost a festival type of event.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, people have compared it to Woodstock or Sturgis or you name it. That's the hard part of this, living in the environment in the world that we live in currently, is that we don't, if it's just a fishing tournament, I can turn everybody loose in the morning and nobody really even has to talk to one another. But that's not what Ride the Bull is about. It's about getting a bunch of like-minded people together, a ton of, we have anglers, in 19, we had anglers from 23 states come, 4 different continents. If getting that group together to share ideas and see the things that they have created and ways they fish is what it's all about. And we're to facilitate it, but it might have to look a little different.
Well, let's jump into the presentation, and you'll notice that I'm not doing a presentation on how to win the Star Tournament, right?
Hey, you have been on the board before.
So let me get my screen shared here, and then we'll go this direction here. So
are you on the board right now while you're playing?
No,
they starboard.
They've Mr. Luke Bayland on the west side, and they closed down the West Coast launch. So
gotcha.
So I think Luke Bayland has it shored up on the west.
Yeah, that was a good fish.
Yeah. Oh. So one thing that I'll start off by saying is that everything that's inside of this presentation is definitely not from Doug Menefee. It's from all of the people that I fish with that probably cringe every time that I give this presentation and the tips and tricks, because I've learned so much from so many of the people that I fish with over the years. But the bull red fishing is without a doubt one of the most fun things that you can do as an individual and as a group of individuals and as a family. And I think that it's just something that kayakers can go out there and truly enjoy being able to do. And that's why it's one of the topics that I love to be able to talk about. And I'll take the heat from my friends for being able to share the knowledge. And Ride the Bull is such a great event that's being put on. And I mean, the objective is pretty simple. It's to catch the heaviest bull red. And I changed this from the last presentation. It was like catch the largest bull red. Well, we fish tournaments that it's the longest bull red. This one is the heaviest bull red. And CCA has chase boats that go out, and when you catch your bull red, they grab the bull red from you and then take it back, weigh the fish, tag the fish, and then release the fish back into the water. And for those of you that do not know, the female bull reds are carrying mass amounts of eggs. So they go out and they spawn, and that's why they're coming into the pass. They're coming in to spawn. The red bull reds, the male bull reds, when you're on top of a school of male bull reds, you'll actually hear them drumming, and you'll hear them thump, 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 and it's truly amazing to be on top of the male bull reds, hearing them calling in the female bull reds. It's amazing to be on them like that. So you launch out of Bridgeside or Wakeside Marina. The safety meeting is at 7 a.m. and shotgun launch at 7:30 a.m. Very important to be there for that safety meeting. It's a mandatory meeting. And I always say kayak, but it's also SUPs and canoes, pirogues, and any approved Ride the Bull watercraft. The rules are posted online. And then there's individual winner categories as well as team categories. So you can go and do this as a team event. And then relatively new to the event is use of a 1 horsepower motor, as well as costume contest. So again, it's a community event. It's a social event. So don't think of it as just having to go out there and catch a bull red. Get involved in the community type of event. I've added this in there. It's in the rules. I messed up during the last presentation. In the past, I think that trolling was allowed, or maybe I didn't know that it wasn't allowed. Trolling is not allowed inside of the tournament, which is good because there's too many people to be trolling. So
that's the deal, Doug. It's there's when you have 700 plus lines in the water, trolling is just not a good option. Not only for the other anglers, but I got 20 chase boats going around in circles, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, so I did say that it was allowed at the last presentation. I said it's not a good idea, but it is not allowed. So my bad during the last presentation. And then new this year, I talked to Rad. He may have more information on it, but the Pimp My Yak this year is a Mardi Gras theme. In the past, it was gear and accessories that was really around the Pimp My Yak. This year it's a Mardi Gras theme, and participants, pending COVID and everything, will be able to parade their yaks through on the Friday night event through the pavilion, and you can do throws and whatnot, and those type of things. Being able to keep eye on the website for more details on that. Anything more to add around that, Rad?
Not really, and unfortunately, with everything that's going on, we haven't beat that drum yet. But I do think it will be fun. The concept, once again, is inclusion in the community to try to get as many people involved in it as possible. We started looking up, and the top 10 kayaks were the same every year because there's only so many people willing to spend that kind of money on lights and gadgets and gizmos. And so what we wanted is kind of anybody to be able to compete, but also we wanted people to get involved with the community that was, there listening and watching, and thought we could have a festive time with it. Obviously we're kind of rolling with some punches at the moment, and I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do the parade, but we're still going to have the Pimp My Yak, and we've got some great prizes for it.
Pack and Paddle and Backpacker and Massey's wants the accessories and gizmos and everything going on inside of it, but the Mardi Gras theme is still a good play. I think we don't want those accessories. I mean, we don't want the Mardi Gras theme parts and pieces falling off into the water if they take them out into the water.
Well, that is part of the theory in the parade, where people can see them on dry land. But don't worry, John. To make a good Mardi Gras float, you still need lots of lights and shiny things.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So just as a note, I think everybody knows this. A bull red is anything over 27 inches. And in the live seminar, I have my handy dandy that everybody gives me a hard time about. I have a printout of, you can fold this out and pass this around a room of a 43 inch, and I have to keep backing up to show how big 43 inches is. And it's truly telling what 43, 45 inch bull red really looks like and feels like. It's pretty massive. I mean, when you think about it, it's bigger than a small child. And when you're talking about, I think last year's winner was 28 pounds. They get up to 35 pounds, 36 pounds that you're talking about, that you're pulling in over the side of your kayak. They're heavy, they're big, they're clunky to pull in. You're looking at, this is a pro angler 17-foot kayak, so it makes it look like it's a fairly small fish on this particular picture here. But anything over 27 inches on the team category, though, it's any size fish counts in the team category, I believe. Correct, Rad?
Yeah, it's just number of fish
Yeah.
entered.
So,
Doug, let me cut in real quick
yeah,
before you get started, because I meant to mention this at the beginning, but if anybody's watching on Facebook, if
oh,
you
yes.
have a question while Doug is talking, if you will type the question into Facebook, I will relay the question to Doug.
Yep. I am married, by the way, so you can avoid that question.
So glad to know that.
Yeah.
First one.
So, and just to describe, I probably should do this on my live presentation. On my slides, I do this kind of overview photograph over on the left-hand side, which gives a quick snapshot of the area. And then I do this insert with this gold area or orange area. And then that area is kind of a detail on the right-hand side. It's kind of zoomed in on the right-hand side. So just to orient you with my slides. So the area where you launch is on the bridge side and wake side area of Grand Isle. And just kind of a pro tip from my perspective. The bridge side area is the more congested area. It's the host area, even though it's the same owners, bridge side and wake side. Wake side is just a little bit less congested than what the bridge side area is from a traffic perspective. So if you're looking to avoid some of the traffic, you might just want to go and launch over at the wake side area to avoid some of the traffic. Brad, you were going to say something?
And yeah, one thing that comes up every year, unless we change it. Now, once again, we're dealing with some moving targets. But as history, if history repeats itself, those are the only two launch locations. You can't come from Elmer's. You can't come from the Chenier. You got to come from one of those 2 points.
Yeah. Yeah. So, these 2 launch points, get there early. Official launch time is at 7:30 with the shotgun launch. You need to be there for the captain's meet or for the safety meeting at 7 a.m. It's tough to hear the safety meeting, be there and hear it. I think the safety meeting is broadcast at Wakeside and at Bridgeside, though, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so both areas have the safety meeting, so you don't have to be at Bridgeside and then run over to Wakeside. You can have your boats ready to go already in the water, though, for 7:30, ready to go inside of the area.
But the anglers have to be on land.
But the anglers have to be on land, so it's a true shotgun launch inside of it. So these are the areas that you want to go. You have to be cautious as well, because these are places of business, and there are boats that are launching at the same time in these areas. Now, they have the boats typically see all the kayakers launching, and they try to go someplace else, but there are some that try to squeeze through in that time period. So just note that they are going through there, and you want to get there early. You want to get a place to park. If you have wheels, the smart thing to do is to get there, get a parking spot, use your wheels, and go to the launch and launch in the area that you're launching in. Tether off your boat in the marina or up against the bank. What most people do is they line up their boats ready to launch, and there's a line of kayaks just ready to go. This is not a race. This tournament is not about getting to a spot to be the first person to get to that spot. This is not that type of a tournament. So it truly is not a speed and run out to your spot to get to it. So yeah, you want to get to your general area, but this isn't that type of a tournament. So don't try to run over people and those type of things. But you do want to get there early and get your spot in line with it. There are a couple of times that I fished it, I launched at 7:45 to let everybody clear out of the way. And then I launched, and then I went, and I had no problem getting into the spots that I normally fish in, which are going to be exactly the same spots that I tell you about today. So it's truly not a speed race to get into these spots. Just be safe about them. So I'm going to talk a lot about safety, because I'm going to tell you Caminada Pass and Barraterra Pass. I'm going to reference Barraterra Pass here. That's the other pass on the far end of the island. These are extremely dangerous passes. And the only reason why I'm probably doing this presentation is because CCA is doing the safety measures that they're doing to do Ride the Bull. They've got the safety boats out there. They've got the chase boats out there. You're out there with 400 other kayaks, and there's safety measures that are in place. The pass, when they're not out there, is extremely dangerous because of the number of boats that are flying through there at full speed with 4 motors going behind it, and they're not looking out for kayaks. They're looking out for themselves. So this pass, if you're going out there by yourself, you have to take the proper safety measures in for yourself. It's not a place to go out there if you're a novice by yourself. You need to go out there with an experienced person. You should never wear headphones out there if at any given time. Even if you're in this tournament, you should not be wearing headphones out there. You should always be aware of your surroundings that are out there. You should always follow a float plan. If you're out there, if you're going out there to pre-fish, you should always follow a float plan. When I'm crossing this pass, I text my brother and I say, I'm leaving Bridgeside and I'm going across to Elmer's Island. And when I get across to Elmer's Island, I tell him that I've made it across to Elmer's Island. I've been kayaking for over 12 years, and I've done this 100 times before. So, yes.
So can I cut in real quick? Because someone asked a question. They said, if I'm staying at the Cajun Holiday, are you saying that I need to transport the kayak a block down the road and put it in the water rather than come from the hotel?
So the answer is you could paddle down, tie up your kayak, and get onto solid ground at Wakeside or Bridgeside. You will not be allowed to come from outside the boundaries in your kayak and begin fishing without coming to shore.
Okay, so just go, you can do it. Just make sure that you land and start from dry land.
From Wakeside or Bridgeside. The art is, not only does it allow us to know where everybody is, but to make sure we can account for everybody, especially on the south end of the pass when, waves get tall. We want to be able to keep our line of sight on everybody. And if I have people coming from the outside, we're going to assume you are not in the tournament.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, John.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. So don't wear headphones and music while crossing pass. Make sure you follow float plans across. Always be visible. And this includes during the tournament, because the chase boats going around there, they're looking around, but you want to make sure that the chase boats see you as well going across, because there's a lot of kayaks that are out there. And then again, if you're going out there before dawn, again, you won't be before the tournament, but if you're going out in advance of the tournament to pre-fish, make sure you have a handheld white light, or ideally you have a 360-degree light. So there's a lot of debate on whether or not you should have a red or green light in place. It's not required. but even if you have lit up LED lights all over your kayak, you still need to have a white light to be able to show oncoming boats. And then always use the buddy system for crossing the pass when possible. It's always better to have two kayaks crossing a pass. It's just better to have safety in numbers. You'll find experienced kayakers won't cross passes when there's just a single person than when there's two people. So again, Ride the Bull makes it look easy, but you got 300, 400, 500, however many kayaks out there. It's just when you're out there by yourself, it's completely different, and the weather conditions can change on a dime for you, and you just have to be super careful. And what you experience at Caminada Pass is completely different than Barraterra Pass. Don't expect to see the same conditions there, because Barraterra Pass has ships coming through, and those ships do not yield for kayaks, and you've got to get out of the way of those guys. So just take that into consideration. Yes.
If I could add, Doug, one, everybody needs to know during Ride the Bull, you must wear a life jacket the entire time. I don't care if it's hot. I don't care. You have to have a life jacket on the whole time. So make sure you go to the store, get the coolest one you can find, because we're going to disqualify you if you take it off. The other thing you need to know is about
by coolest, you mean most comfortable.
Most comfortable, coolish, whatever you something that can handle 90-degree August temperatures. I definitely suggest inflatables, but if you but also know that those chase boats are only to move fish around, but they are also there to assist you. But one thing you need to know is chase boats are like tournament directors. They are my eyes and ears. What they say goes. And the reason I say that is because if they tell you they need you to move in a certain direction, or they need you to turn your boat a different way, they are battling conditions that, quite frankly, you are not, because they have a lot of engine and a lot of lines around, and they are trying to do it for safety purposes. So whatever the chase boat folks tell you, please listen to them. They're only doing it for your good and others. And the second piece of the safety part is stay hydrated. The only issues we really ever have are people that have been out in the sun all day and get dehydrated. So bring plenty of water and try to stay as cool as you can.
Yep. So this is Caminada Pass, and again, this is the second kind of view that I show a lot of. A satellite view, and then a topographical or navigational view with the depths of the pass itself. So you've got the bridge crossing over, you've got pier systems coming in, you got bridge side down here in the bottom side, and then you've got wake side up here in the top right hand corner. The one thing I'm not showing is up in the top right hand or top left-hand side is that there's a that little island that's up there, which is in the upper boundary that I'll show in just a second up here. So the what's happening is the water is just pouring down inside of here, and then just curving around the island in this pass. And as I mentioned, the boats are just streaming out through here normally. What's going to happen, though, is the boats are going to see 300 kayaks, 400 kayaks in there, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to go through there. Normally, they're going all out, all their motors just going full bore. They're going to slow down because they're going to see the number of kayaks that are going through the system. Which is a good thing for us with it. They'll turn around and probably go through the other side of the island, which is positive. This is also schools back in session, so the island's a little bit slower. So that's the other good thing that's going into play. The other thing that you'll notice is that you'll notice on the contour map, You'll see kind of the wider areas, whiter, not wider, but like right here in the center. These are the deeper areas of the pass. And I'm going to go into a little bit more of that in just a little bit. This is where the bulk of the water is rushing through the pass. I'll tell you right now, when you're looking at this, the bull reds typically are not in the deepest of the deep water. Typically, I'm not going to say always. They're just typically not in these deep water holes. They're typically more up against the banks, and I'll show you that in just a few seconds. So this is an overview of the pass. So over the last year, something drastically changed with Caminada Pass. It changed my favorite area of the pass, and it's around the Elmer's Island area. So this is from a year and a half ago. You'll see the sandbar. These are the camps up against the west bank. And there was this sand bar, an island essentially, that lined Caminada Pass, going all along the edge here. We've got it circled on the west side. And then we call this the Elmer's Washout. So this is how the water got into Elmer's Island, right down here on the southwest side. And then this is where Elmer's Island starts, down on the bottom corner here. The storms rolled through, and if you followed any what the Coastal Restoration Association did, was they pumped all of the sand onto Elmer's Island, dredged it up, and the sand that got pumped in, I assume this is sand that got pumped in. I'm making assumptions here. Rad, you may be able to talk better to this with CCA. Well, the storms washed it out, and it pushed it in and created this new sandbar coming in, and it pushed the sand that was over here, it pushed it back up towards the camps again. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, this has created these sandbars here, and this picture was taken on a low tide, probably in December. I haven't looked at the date. I'm showing this to you from a safety perspective, because when the water is up and the tide is moving, this has a tendency to suck you in this way. See if I can draw an arrow. It has a tendency to suck you in, especially if you're on a kayak. And when it sucks you in, these are breaking waves onto it. And when it's breaking waves, what will happen is your kayak will go sideways and you'll have a yard sail. And if you know what a yard sail is, that means your kayak goes sideways, you go sideways with it, and your kayak goes and flips over, and you have a yard sail, and all of your gear goes over, and everybody can go and pick up your gear from you. So this is an area for you to be very careful going into. It may be calm as all get up that day, and it may not be breaking waves, but I've been out there a few times that it's definitely breaking waves. So Rad, do you know if that is the sand that was pushed in from Elmer's? Is that what it is?
There are mixed opinions about that, and they're looking at it, whether it came from the pass or directly from the new stuff on Elmer's, is kind of yet to be determined. But I will tell you, if you look at that sandbar going all the way up to what we call the crack on the other side of the bridge, it has shifted over the years dramatically in and out, and the north of the bridge is sometimes a bigger beach, and the south side is sometimes a bigger beach. So I'm not exactly sure what it was, but keep in mind Grand Isle had 7 named storms come nearby. So in the last year, it's taken a beating. Now, I will also say, we try to get people as close to the pass as we can safely do it. But we will also be evaluating what that looks like. And there are orange buoys showing what the boundaries look like. And if that seems dangerous, you might have some orange buoys in front of it. We want to make sure everybody walks away and sees the award ceremony in one piece. So be on the lookout for those buoys. Once again, if those boundary boats or chase boats tell you got to back up, what they say goes.
Yeah. And again, I'll show why. So this is the traditional boundary area. It's not the exact boundary. I know that, but I believe it's pretty close, right, Rad?
Close. It depends on, it is definitely good.
It changes every year.
on the north side, it is totally contingent on weather, and what the tides are doing and what the wave action is doing. Once again, we use that the south border kind of like a swinging door. Typically on the Elmer side, it gets the worst, and so we will slowly slide in those buoys to give people as much space as possible, but also to keep them safe. In a general rule of thumb, yes, that is safe. I would say almost guaranteed all of those areas that you have highlighted. I would scout and know what I'm dealing with. Could you have a little bit more on the south end? Possibly.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, these are the traditional, ideal boundary areas that you're looking at. I think sometimes it goes a little bit north. There's this island up here.
It will go to the well, I guess the north side of between the Chenier and the Crack, but it will not go around the turn, and that is one of the places we everybody. They want to get past that little corner that you have. The problem is I can't see it. And so we will move you back in. Now, in years past, I have let the chase boats know that the mouth of Caminada is incredibly unstable. And we've given some people more leeway on the backside just to kind of spread everybody out. But ideally, I think your map's a pretty good one.
Yeah. So it gives just kind of a general rule of where you're looking at. And again, you can see kind of on the flow what's happening here if you're looking at this map. So for those of you who don't, you should do map studies and really look at how water is flowing through these areas, because it tells a great story for how fish get set up. So the tide for August 28th is an outgoing tide. The orange box represents the time for what we're going to be fishing that particular day. So looking at 7:30 right here coming in. So the tide will have already started going out, and then coming in at 2, we're going straight to basically slack tide. So what does that tell you? So it's a rhetorical question because we don't have a live audience here. So the tide has already started coming out here. So my emphasis would be that the fish have already started moving out. So my emphasis would be that the fish that you would think would be up north, well, they've probably already started moving further down south. So they'll probably be towards the bridge. They probably aren't up towards that island area. I could be wrong, because it's not a very big tide, but they probably have already started moving their migration and moving down towards the bridge area. So it's probably a good idea to start maybe working starting the day maybe towards the bridge and started working your way down. And I'll start to show that in just a second here.
Okay, Doug, I have a question.
Sir.
Someone on Facebook's asking if the current photo from Google Earth is showing the sandbar that you were talking about. They're giving a talk to a group from Houston that's heading down there. So is that shown on Google Earth now?
Yes, it is. It just came up within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep. So I believe, and this is relevant to anything dealing with kayaking, the most important thing that a kayaker needs to do before any launch is to monitor the wind. And I don't care if you're getting on a lake, on a stream, in a pond, anywhere. It's to look at what your wind conditions are going to be doing for the day. And when you're looking at Grand Isle, so again, orienting into the map here. So this is the island going around here, the west part of the island. Sorry, I'm on a laptop, so I'm having to use my trackpad, so it's not very easy for me to draw. This bottom part is Elmer's Island, and then this is Bridgeside over here, and then this is the bridge going across, the blue line going across. So if you've got a southwest wind coming up out of it, and this will be quick, southwest wind coming in, what's going to happen? We're probably not going to have a very fun day of fishing. Now, if it's a 1 to 3 mile an hour wind, not a big deal. If we've got a 20 mile an hour wind, Rad and them probably aren't going to let us go fish. I mean, that's just not going to be a good day. It's just, I mean, the wind's just going to be brutal for us to go out there and fish in a 20 mile an hour wind going straight up out of the southwest. I mean, it's coming straight at us, right? But if it's a 5 mile an hour wind, just not a fun day of fishing at all. So now if it's a 5 mile an hour wind, 5 to 7 to 10 mile an hour wind, and we've got an outgoing tide coming at us, it's really not going to be a fun day, because what's going to happen is that outgoing tide's going to hit, that incoming wind is going to hit, and we're going to have what? We're going to have a washing machine effect, right? The two are going to collide with each other, and it's just going to be boom, and then it's just gonna go back and forth. And what's going to be worse is the tide is going to be held. So not only is the tide going to be a washing machine effect, the tide is just going to be like held. So then the tide is just going to sit inshore, and then there's not going to be any tidal movement. So then the redfish are just going to sit there and be like, I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like eating, because the redfish they're waiting for crab to swim by them. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for bait fish to swim by them. And if that's not happening, they're just not going to really want to eat. So it's really not going to be a fun day for us out there on the water.
Oh, it's always a fun day, no matter what. There's more to it than catching fish. And
I agree with you.
We may do. And look, believe it or not,
my best tournaments are bad weather days, Rad.
And look, what I was going to tell you is usually when the tide, the less tide we have, the more productive a day we have.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
That's my I'm sticking to it.
I did. I could answer that. The less tide day. So when there are big tides going by for redfish, they wash out to the Gulf of Mexico really, really fast. So we've seen it. The bite window is only 30 to 45 minutes, but when it's a slow tide, they hang around for a while, and they're just sitting there and they're just eating kind of all day long. And then they slowly go out to the Gulf.
The other X factor, Doug, could be the anglers, because if the anglers are not being pushed around as much, baits aren't being dragged, baits are getting on the bottom better, and it's easier.
Yep.
To some degree, the fish may not be in eating mood as much, but maybe the fishermen are getting baits down better and having better luck.
You can definitely hold your spot a lot better. That is for sure. That is definitely for sure.
At the end of the day, John, Doug just said if you have a southwest wind, which he can pretty much count on, and an outgoing tide, it's terrible. So he's hoping he can stack the deck and there's not 700 people and there's only like him and a handful of other buddies. So that is what he was all about. And that's why I corrected him.
I got you.
So when the wind is out of the west, and this is all about planning. When you're looking at your wind charts in the morning or the night before, when the wind is out of the west and is coming this way, right? You want to go and you want to say, hey, and you want a comfortable day. You want to say, hey, I want to go and kind of stack up and I want to be protected because this is going to be where the areas that I want to fish, because I'm going to be blocked from this island over here. If I'm sitting over here, I'm going to be blown all the bits because the wind is just going to be beating me up over here. So again, just looking at where your wind maps are going to be blowing into from. And then the same thing, if it's coming from the southeast, your protected areas of being fished are going to be on this side. You're going to be protected over here. And then if obviously you're going to be blown to bits over here, if not. So now what to look for. So this is when you go into your map studies, and you don't have to do a lot of map study. You can, John has a copy of this presentation. I'll send it to him again. He can post it on his website. You can go back and relook at this video as well. But you look at these contours on the map. So this is Wakeside right here. Hold on, let me get my pen going because I don't know if you can see my cursor. This is Wakeside over here. There's a pipeline right here. What happens around pipelines? Shale beds happen around pipelines, right? So always look around for pipelines, but then let's see where the contours start to come together. Where these contours come together, that means that there's a steep drop off that's taking place right there. So that's where redfish love to hang out. They love steep drop offs. So you look for steep drop offs. And if you can hang out right there, that's where redfish love to hang out. They love to hang out in 9 to 15 foot of water where water is running along edges. So
I may have missed it, but have you explained what a contour line is and just shown that concept of contour lines already?
Yeah, so these are the contour lines, these black lines that are coming across right here. And then you can see it's going from a darker blue color right here. And then it's going to the lighter blue color right here, like towards a white. And that means that it's going from a more shallow to a deeper depth. And then when they get tighter together, when the lines get tighter together, that is when it's creating a ridge. It's the same thing as if you're reading a map that is like a mountain ridge. It's basically an underwater ridge is taking the same place. So if you've done that type of hiking.
When you head out into the pass in the morning, do you have your fish finder or your GPS already set up with waypoints that you're heading to, and you try to send yourself over those waypoints?
You can. That's probably the ideal situation. You can either use your GPS to find them, or you can I'll show you the map that I use. This is called Boating USA. You can just tag it on inside of Boating USA. You can use this exact same map and go straight to these points, these maps in Boating USA using it. So you don't even have to have a GPS to do it. You can do it on your phone.
Nice, okay.
So so these are kind of the northern points, northern edges to look for. So you can see this is 10 foot right here. So this is 13 foot right here. So it's going 10 foot and then it's dropping down to 13 foot. And then this is the same thing. This is probably dropping down 9 to 10 foot right here. And it's dropping down to about 13 foot right here. So that's one of the northern spots that you're looking for. So this is the pier that is on the left side. I'm sorry, on the west side. I call it the left side, but it's the west side of the bridge. So it's on the opposite side of bridge side. You'll notice the one thing they have to be cautious about with the pier is people are fishing off of the pier. So you're competing with them. That's one thing. The second thing is all around the bridge, what you're going to have is when they were constructing the bridge, what did they do? They threw all of the debris off of the bridge into that bridge area. So there's snag areas all around the bridge area and especially around the pier. But one of the things you notice is that there's a big turn that takes place with the contour lines right there. So that's a popular bull red spot. That's where a lot of the guys from the pier catch bull reds there. So you'll also notice the pipeline marking right here. So again, you can trace that all the way out. There used to be towers, wooden structures that showed where the pipelines were. And those were fantastic because you could just line yourself up with the wooden structures, but they decommissioned and took those structures out, and now you can't see them anymore. So you have to find them on the using your GPS points. So, and again, why I harp on pipeline structures is because that's where shell beds usually are that you can find structure on. So this is a little bit south. So again, looking at my map to the left here. So you have good contours down here, pipeline. You have good contours. And look at this ridge line right here. See how tight the contours get into. So I'm just showing you, I'm not showing you exact spots. I'm showing you what to look for. So, you know, go and do some map study, and these are like ideal spots. So again, when you're looking, look at how these contours, kind of big contours right here, they come up into this, and then it comes into tight contours. So these are changes in terrain. And that means that the water is acting differently in these spaces. So that means, hey, is that a good ambush spot for a bull red to hang out in? Probably so. So, and look at where they are. So again, what did I say? Was the outgoing tide, you work your way down. Well, if I'm a betting man, I'm starting to say, hey, I'm working my way down the bridge. I'm probably going to be working my way down on along these contour lines. That's probably where the bull reds are going to be. And bull reds do not hang out in one spot. they make circles. So they start to work patterns inside of their domains. So definitely it's amazing because you will see like fishing rods bow 50 feet up from you, and then another person 25 feet away from you, that line of bow, and then another person's fishing line of bow, and then all of a sudden your fishing line of bow. So because they're working in a circle to come down to you. So this is on the southeast side. And this starts to get kind of into is it within boundary? Is it out of boundary? It depends on the weather conditions. Again, you're looking at the contour lines. So great trout spot, by the way. So again, other areas down towards the Southeast Rocks area. So these are the areas. This is just a boundary area again that you look at. If I am fishing this tournament, the areas that I'm going to target are probably this ridge line down here. This is where I'm placing my bets for the most part. If I can get there, it depends on the sandbar. It depends on the boundary. It really does. It depends on the wind. That's where it is. I am. A lot of people catch a lot of bull reds along the backside of the bridge. And I'm going to say the backside of the bridge as opposed to the front side of the bridge. Why would I say that? That's because the tide is going to be pushing you up against the bridge, and you're going to want to be on the backside of the bridge instead of fighting your way and having to keep running up against, instead of being pushed up against the bridge the whole time. My problem, and this is a Doug Menefee personal problem, it may not be your problem. My problem with the bridge, all I ever catch is gaff tops and catfish. I've never caught a bull red against the bridge, but other people catch bull reds all the time up against the bridge. That's a Doug Menefee personal problem. So like I said, other people, I've seen lots and lots and lots and lots of bull reds caught up against the bridge. So I would not rule it out. It's a great spot, and the water is running against that structure, and the bull reds definitely get behind that structure. Just keep in mind, it's a snag area, so definitely be prepared to lose your line inside of that area, and be careful with your anchor, which I'll talk about in just a second. So those are the areas that I would say are the areas that I think are the strongest areas for catching. Third, I may want to start off with is probably and possibly that area that I highlighted right in this area. First thing in the morning, if you're launching out of Wakeside, I think that this is probably a good area first thing in the morning, but not to spend a lot of time on it. I would work my way down here quickly, just because that tide has already started moving in the morning. So I think that they're going to be moved down. The app that I use to create those graphics with is Navionics Boating USA. I'm pretty sure there's a free trial that'll get you through the tournament. It's a great little app. The same images are available. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, it's navionics.com/USA. Chart viewer, you can do screen graphs, but the Navionics Boating USA GPS built into your phone, and you can plot your waypoints. You can figure out those contours. So if you don't have a Lowrance unit and GPS and all of that, you don't won't have a fish finder and things like that. You can at least get the contours and get to your spots with it. Salty Solutions, I'll plug this guy all day long. He's a Louisiana developer, and weather, wind, tides, salinity, great free app, and fishweather.com will tell you your wind. It's got a website and a web app that's free as well. So supplies needed, we'll run through this quickly. Rad said it already, and I'm going to say it not just for the tournament. Anytime you're in a kayak, I don't care if you're on a pond, you need to be wearing a personal flotation device, a life vest. You just need to be doing it. I can't highlight the inflatable ones. Put your cartridge in. Some people buy them and they forget. They don't realize they have to actually arm the device. But put your cartridge in when you buy it. Arm the device. It's so comfortable. I forget that I have it on. I get out of my kayak and I start driving down the road and I'm halfway home and then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have my life vest on. So definitely wear your PFD at all times. Need to take an anchor in this tournament. Most times when I'm bull red fishing, I don't anchor out, but in this tournament with 400 kayaks out there, you need to have an anchor and 20 to 40 foot of rope. You don't need 40 foot of rope for the most part, but it's good to have that much rope just in case you're in a really deep spot. You probably need 30 foot of rope, but just have 40 foot on hand. You should also have a quick release of that anchor, just in case you're in trouble. To be able to quickly release that anchor is a good thing as well. You need to have fishing rod and supplies, obviously bait, artificial and live bait, plenty to drink, food, because you'll be out there. Fish grips. Don't underestimate the food thing. It takes a lot of energy while you're out there. Fish grip to hold that fish with, because it's such a girth. You don't have anything to hold the fish with. A fish grip to hold it by its mouth is really important. You don't want to damage the fish.
Yeah. Yep. Doug, one question I have is, do you have any tips on where the best places to buy bait are?
I would say Bridgeside, Carmondale's usually are the two most popular spots in that area to buy bait on the
One
day.
thing to note on that is Bridgeside converts all of their tanks to fit bait that works for this tournament and not just regular trout fishermen on that day. So they should have plenty, but Carmondale is a good choice. Obviously, if you're worried about lines and whatever, you've got Grand Isle Marino on the other end of the island, but Bridgeside should be able to handle whatever you got. Doug, I hate to do this, but since I got late notice, I'm supposed to be on another Zoom call that started at 7.
Absolutely right.
And so I'm gonna have to check out. If any of y'all have questions, please put them on John's Facebook page. They'll send them to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. Or go to Ride the Bull Facebook page, and you can find us there at all. But look, we look forward to having you. I hate to step away, but we'll see y'all in a couple weeks.
No, thank you, Rod. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I'll run through the rest of this pretty quickly. It's pretty cut and dry. So on the fishing tackle, a heavy rod with medium heavy action. So definitely don't recommend like a rod that is the surf fishing rod. You want a heavy rod. You want a good quality rod. You don't need to go out and spend $300 on a rod, but you want a quality rod that's going to be able to horse in a bull red, a good 30-pound bull red. Recommend a spinning rod, probably combo with a 3000 to 4000 series rod. You want something that you're going to be able to quickly be able to bring that bull red in as well. You want 40-pound to 60-pound braided line. And you probably want to go straight braided line. You don't need to worry about leader material in this event there. Bull reds, I hate to say it, they're pretty dumb. I mean, they're not worried about leader material. They're straight to braid is fine for these fish. Heavy duty barrel swivels. I use in the graphic here as an example. Just look at the technical specs of the swivels. You don't have to be super crazy on the swivels themselves, on the barrel swivels. When I say heavy duty, you don't have to have a monster swivel, barrel swivel in place, because a small barrel swivel actually is 132 pounds. I mean, you don't need one that is like 600 pound barrel swivel in place. So just look at the technical specs. You just need something that's going to do 35 to 40 pounds inside of it. So a large net is critical. Something that you can at least get the bull red's head in. Some people, AKA my brother, likes to be able to net his bull reds from the side. So, and that's so that he can land the fish quickly if he's fishing a tournament. So you just want to be able to get a large net, and you can get inexpensive nets from different stores that are large aluminum nets that will work just fine for this tournament. And you're not worried about the hooks getting hung up inside of the net and those type of things. It's not going to be a net that you're using for treble hooks. And I mean, it's just kind of a disposable one-time use only net type of thing though. So live bait, you're primarily looking at crab and mullet. Looking at live bait, you're looking at large live bait. If you're using frozen mullet, God bless you. I've not been able to figure out how to use it. Frozen mullet, to me, they just falls off of the hook for me. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm saying I haven't figured out how to utilize it. I just don't know how to use it. So I can't give you any tips on it. And then Big Gulp, not the 7-Eleven type. I'll show you an example of it in just a little while. It's Berkeley Big Gulp baits. So here we go. Here's an example. So the jig heads that you're looking to utilize, Pack and Paddle carries these. We specifically asked for them to carry these. These are like the best big jig heads that you can buy. They're made by Owner. So 1.5 ounce, 3/4 ounce. They make larger size, but for these type of bull reds, they're perfect. So you'll notice first thing about them, very long shanks. So they're perfect because it gets the bull red into their mouth and into the side of their mouth. You have very long shanks. And there are other jig heads that are out there that you could pick up that have long shanks. You'll notice kind of this bullet head. That's what you're looking for, so that they drop very quickly. That's the type of jig head that you're looking to pick up. So 1 to 2 ounce jig head with a 6/0, 7/0 hook. You want it to be a two times strong hook. And then you want to tie it with a Palomar knot straight to braid. So again, you don't need a leader tied to it. This is the 6-inch swimming mullet. So if you can find that, that's the type of gulp that you want to use on your jig head. you don't have to use Gulp, but you want to use some type of 6-inch bait. Plastic bait is good with a curly tail. When the bulls are biting, that's what they're biting. They love the scent, though. They absolutely love the scent. And then there's also a Berkeley Gulp saltwater grub. That's the other bait that they truly love. What else loves these? Catfish and gaff tops, and what do they the other ones, oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember the names. It's going to come to me when I get to another slide here in a little second. So with as big a bait as those are, I also catch bull reds on tiny tsunamis. So that's the little 2.5, 3-inch tsunami baits, and I'll pull in a 35-pound bull red on it. I'm not saying to go out and buy little tsunamis for this tournament, but it is definitely possible to catch on the little tiny baits. So another popular rig is to use Carolina rigs. And in a Carolina rig, you would, so these are good for definitely using live bait, especially crab and whatnot. You would use your 1 ounce to 2 ounce egg sinker. This you are using a leader, 50-pound mono, something cheap like a Big Game brand. That's the brand of Big Game. It's a really cheap, inexpensive brand. And you're using a 5/0 to 7/0 hook. So in fact, you can use larger 7/0 hook. This is what Pack and Paddle sells, 7/0 hooks. And you can look these up online. You have an egg sinker, your barrel swivel, and then you have your hook on a 8 to 12 inch. I usually go 18-inch leader material. Very important. Your hook is with a snail knot. So YouTube it, Google it, whatever you have to do. Tie a snail knot to your circle hook. If there's only one thing you remember about a Carolina rig, snail knot. And I'm not going to teach you how to do that. It's a billion videos out there on how to do it. But the reason why you do that is because when the hook pulls up, it pulls into the mouth of the fish that you're biting. If you tie any other hook, that hook has a tendency to pull up and out of the fish's mouth. So that's what you want to be able to pull into. So the proper way to tie a crab or to hook onto a crab. So this is definitely the wrong way to tie a knot onto a circle hook. The proper way to tie onto a crab, this is a half crab. You drill a hole or bore a hole inside of the crab, tie into the side of the crab, and then run that hook into the side, and then that way it looks like it's being pulled off of to the side of the crab. This is probably a preference. You're competing for $2,000 to $3,000 of a kayak or of a prize out there. Why would you use half a crab instead of a whole crab? Right? So that's my question to you. Do redfish eat whole crabs or half crabs? I think they eat whole crabs. So my recommendation to you is to use a whole crab instead of half a crab. That's just my thoughts on the matter. I mean, you can use half a crab, save half a crab. I don't know. My recommendation is just to go for broke, and you're competing with 500 or 400, 500 other people. I just would use a whole crab instead of half a crab, but that's just my theory.
Doug,
So,
do you have any feedback on whether live bait or dead bait outfishes Gulp?
Uh, that's a great question. Uh, I, I believe I believe Gulp outfishes live bait any day of the week for me personally, but that's because I don't fish with live bait. And it's because I'm a fast fisherman and I cannot, I have ADHD and I cannot throw a bait out there and put it in a rod holder and let it sit. If you can cast a bait out there and put it in a rod holder and let it sit, then live bait is definitely a good bait for you. If you're the type of person that is one that has to and can jig a bait, and I probably, thank you, John, for bringing that up. When you are throwing a jigging bait, with the jig, you are definitely working that bait, jigging the bait up and down. Even with a Carolina rig with Gulp on the end of the Carolina rig, you're still jigging it up and down. You're not just letting it sit out there and letting it soak inside of it. So I believe that artificial Gulp will outfish a live bait. With that being said, I believe that the tournament has been won with more live bait than it has been won with artificial bait. But I believe that it's been fished with more artificial bait than it has been fished with artificial bait. It's been fished with more live bait than it has been fished with artificial bait. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so on your anchor, you need to properly tie your anchor, and you need to use 2 points. So you can see on this anchor, this is a little bit of safety, and this is especially for Caminada Pass. You see, I've got 2 points marked off here on this anchor, and I don't know if you can see it. On this left, there's a zip tie around this point. A lot of people don't realize there's 2 points on an anchor. It's so much better live. On the end, there's a circle, and then on the front, there's this circle as well. You tie a zip tie around, and then you run that your cord through the zip tie. And the reason why, when these prongs open up, so if I can do my prong opening up here, when those prongs open up and they catch, and you get hung on the bottom of the pass, what happens is you're pulling on the bottom and you can't get unhung. Well, you have enough weight that you can break this zip tie right here. And then what happens is your rope comes all the way up to the bottom here. And now you're pulling from the bottom of the anchor. And now you pull from the bottom of the anchor and your prongs fold in, and you're pulling from the bottom, and you can free your anchor. And what's happened is I've been out there and I see people's anchors get hung at the bottom of the pass, and they're literally about to flip their kayak because they're trying to get their anchor unhung. And then they get a chase boat out there, and their chase boat's trying to get their anchor unhung. And what they end up doing is they end up cutting their anchor free. And now there's an anchor at the bottom of the pass. So this is a way to get your anchor back, and you can bring another zip tie with you, and you can just basically zip up your anchor again, and your anchor's free, and you are ready to go back and use your anchor again. So it's definitely a safety thing. Boats need to be doing this as well as kayaks. Don't get me wrong. So it's definitely a safety measure to be able to do. In fact, I saw a kayak one time, and this goes to the next slide here. So know how to properly anchor. If you've got a trolley anchor, you want to make sure that when you drop anchor, you are not anchored like this with your anchor in the center, because the water is rushing out and all of that water is rushing up against you in the center. And what's going to happen? You're going to end up flipping your kayak, because all that water is just going to flip. And I saw somebody do that in the past, and it was an experienced kayaker that it happened to. You want your anchor to be off of the bow or stern of your kayak, so that you're facing into the bow, or the stern is facing into your into the tide or the current that is going with it. And if you've got a trolley line, then it makes it very easy to be able to do. So definitely be safe with your anchoring while you're out there on the water. And this may seem like something, I don't really need to do this. You got 400 boats out there. It's something that you very much need to be doing out there, because you're within 20 to 30 to 40 feet of other boats, and everybody needs to be doing this, or else you're going to be running into each other while you're doing that. And imagine not being anchored, and then you're hooking up on a bull red, and then how are you managing the bull red while you're not anchored? So just some quick things on electronics. So if you do happen to have some electronics out there, this is what you're looking for. This is absolutely what you're looking for. If you happen to be trolling around, not with a bait, but you're going around in circles looking for something like this. This is a school of bull reds on the bottom in 12 to 16 foot of water. This is exactly what you would be looking for. If you saw this, you don't even want to cast. You just want to drop your bait straight down, and boom, you are going to hook up on a bull red. So this is an example of dropping a 1 ounce sinker. So you can see your sinker and seeing it bounce off of the bottom and watching it, and you're targeting a fish. And then this is spread about 10 feet. This is a school of fish. So again, this is about 10 foot of water to about 25 foot of water. So they're suspended, and then they're all the way down to here. So what you may find is you may find males up here, and you may find females down here, and you may have to call through trying to get some of these to get to some of these. So this would be why you would want a 3/4 ounce to get to fish up here. And then you may want a 1.5 ounce jig head to get to fish down here, right? So again, another school of fish down on the bottom. What I wanted to show you on this was this. This is that ridge, right? I remember I showed you look for ridges. So what's happening? Water's coming down this ridge right here. And where are they stacked up? Stacked up right on that ridge. So this is side scan. So if you're fortunate enough to have side scan, and these aren't reds, this is from our friend Scott B. Avenue. But this is how detailed you can get. This is a school of tarpon. That's the tarpon. That's the shadows of the tarpon. So you're looking for fish, you're trolling around, and you see this, and you go, "Oh, I'm on top of a school of fish." Well, this looks different than what we saw earlier. See how tight together this is? This looks a lot different than what we saw a while ago. This is a school of bait fish, right? See how that's, see it's tight, but you can see the arches inside of those versus that. That's more tarpon, more tarpon. It's just porpoises. I just wanted you to see kind of some fun examples. So what's it like to catch a fish? What's it like to hook up on a bull red? So look at how his rod bends down. You see how it bent down? I'm going to play that again real quick. I know we're running time here. Watch what happens. This is what you have to watch for. See, pulls up, pulls up, pulls up, pulls up. Boy, that goes down and goes down behind his kayak. Then he pulls up. Okay, so when you hook up, notice what he did. He didn't start reeling. The drag was set tight, and it started pulling out drag, pulling out drag, and he let that drag go, and he just started fighting it and letting his rod do the job, and letting the rod do the job. But then he started getting that rod tip up in the air, because if you don't, that red is going to pull it down and pull you back behind your kayak, or pull it up in front of your kayak. And if it does that, it's going to break off. Even if you've got a 60-pound braid on, it's going to, if it puts that rod tip into the water, it's going to break you off. Sure as day. So that's Mr. Brock Miller. It's another Hobie team Miller of ours. So Brock's going to kill me for analyzing his photographs here. So this is him catching the red, him holding a couple of the reds here. I wanted to highlight a couple of things here. So this is us fishing probably an IFA event. There's another guy, something's in my way here. Another guy in the back. The best part about bull red fishing, especially ride the bull and IFA events and with groups of people, is, and I highlighted it a little bit earlier on, when you're with groups of people and bull red fishing, is bull reds run in schools. And when they run in schools, you're going to see a guy or a girl or a kid or whoever that's out there, and you're going to see a rod tip go down, and then you're going to see another rod tip go down, and then you're going to see another rod tip go down, and they're coming your way. And man, when that happens, there's nothing like it, because the rod tips start bending and you get excited because they're coming your way. And that's when you get excited, because the school is coming at you. Now, there's another scenario that can happen is you see a rod tip bend down, then you can't be shy either, because when you see people catching, then without being rude, you can go into that general area. And I'm not talking about on top of the person, but you can go into that general area within a casting distance of a person, but within that general area, and you can put your bait down into that general area, because the bull reds may be in that general area, and see if they're in that general area to see if the bull reds are there. And again, without being rude, without encroaching on that person's spot, but within that general area, casting distance only. And because they school up together. And that is the best part of red fishing, because it's a community type of event, and see if you can catch those reds, again, without being rude. The other thing that I wanted to note about this picture is, you notice So on their pictures, they have popping corks. And you're like, oh, what are they doing with popping corks on the back of bull red fishing? Well, sometimes you need to call bull reds. And one of the great things that we've discovered is that, man, you can go out there with a popping cork, about 2 foot to 2.5 foot of leader, like 50-pound leader material on it, and a big bait and big hook, and just start and start making these loud popping sounds, and you can call the bull reds to you, and it will absolutely call up a bull red from the bottom when they're not biting. So when you start to get into slack tide and the tide's not moving, a popping cork is a really good option to call. And the fish I couldn't remember the name of a couple of seconds ago is it can also call Mr. Jack Crevel. And that is definitely in for a ride if you start to call Jack Crevels up. So you'll be fighting those for some time. Sometimes it's best to just cut your line as opposed to landing the jack if you've got an inexpensive hook on the line. But that is definitely a kind of secret out there for you to go out and be able to do. So the other thing I wanted to show you was landing a bull red as well. So this is one that I caught, and this is on a small hula popper that I had caught out in the marsh. So you don't have to always be catching them out in the pass, obviously. I think everybody knows that. So this was close to the boat. Put it on a little bit. So what you're saying is I've tired the fish out. So he's close to the boat, and then I don't have a net with me. So, and I don't want to lose my bait was the big thing. And I don't want my hook to break off. Because I don't have a net with me. But the big thing was I don't want my hook to break off of the bait. So what happens is you tire the fish out, and this is with any redfish. Once they get tired, they submit, and they end up in this position. They end up just going upside down. And once they get into this position, you could just take a boga grip, a fish grip, whichever grip you have, and you can literally just bring them right up next to the boat once they're in this upside down position, and put it inside of their mouth and just drag them into the boat. And that's the easiest way to land a bull red or a redfish. The one thing about it is it takes a little bit longer to revive the fish because they're stressed out a little bit more. So, and then the last video is just reviving the fish. So with reviving the fish, you're shaking their tails. And the reason why I'm showing you that is you may catch a bull red out there. You may have caught 2 or 3 of them already, and you want to release one because you don't need the chase boat to come out there. But it's really tired. When you're releasing them, just wag their tails long enough that they swim off on their own. Like they'll swim out of your hands essentially. And once they swim out of your hands, then you know it's good to go, like they're good to go. So probably one of the harder things to do out there once you've caught a bull red is to get the attention of the chase boats. There's plenty of chase boats out there, but they're running around and they're in the middle of 300, 400 kayaks, and it's hard to get their attention. So take something out there that's bright. I take my bending branches paddle. It's a bright orange. I can wave it up in the air and like flag people down with it. Take an orange flag, maybe something that you're using on the back of your kayak as a marker, your red flag. on the back of your trailer, on the back of your kayak, a towel or something, so you can stand in your kayak, or if you feel comfortable standing in your kayak. One long blow of your whistle, not two. Two means that it's a distress call, but something that's loud, something that's going to get somebody's attention. Yell really loud, enlist the assistance of others that are out there. You're going to have to, you can't be shy. You're going to have to, you definitely have to do something to get the attention of the boat officials. So just a couple more slides here. I want to plug the Lafayette Kayak Fishing Club on August 21st. If you watch the Facebook page, if you watch it for the meetup details, we have a pre-trip planned to practice. So going out to, I'm pretty sure we're going out to Caminada Pass to do a trip in advance of Ride the Bull. It's the week before. So we can go and kind of test the waters, take people that have never been out there before, and kind of get hands-on with catching and landing and fishing for bull reds. So Lafayette Kayak Fishing Club is doing that and putting together a group of people to go out and do that. So just watch their Facebook page for being able to do that. And then I always have to plug Ricky Smith. He attended one of the seminars. I always say that he won the tournament because he attended one of my seminars. And absolutely nothing to do with attending my seminar, but I always like to say that he did get it, and that he owes me a percentage of the check that he won. Dustin, I believe, was in his kayak, and they both owe me a percentage, but that's beside the point. So if there's any questions, John's on Facebook, and I'll stop the screen share and just see if John has anything else.
That's a good question, Doug. That was awesome. Thank you. That was.
I went a bit long with it,
No.
but I kind of dug into a few things.
Not at all. And I honestly, I think that it was really in a lot of ways better than what we did. Other than the anchor was a little hard to understand, but I think it was maybe better than what we did at the shop live. But the only thing is whether people have questions. So we'll hang tight here for a minute, and let me just mention a couple of things that I talked about at the beginning. And that is that if you want to do Ride the Bull, or if you know someone who wants to do Ride the Bull, but you do not have a pedal craft, which is a big advantage to have a Hobie or some type of pedal craft out there in the pass. We have 3 boats that we use for trips, and we're purposely not doing any trips that weekend so that we can rent those boats out. But it's only 3, and it is on our website. It's it's under trips, rentals, and events. And if you go to the rentals tab, you'll find the rental thing, and you can rent it for the whole weekend, Thursday to Monday. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing is, for 45 years, we have never offered products online, but now we are. So you can go online and you can see virtually everything we have in our paddle sports room, minus the fishing gear. We do not have any of that stuff up yet, but you can look at kayaks, you can look at accessories, you can look at rigging stuff, you can look at paddles, life jackets, basically everything that we sell in the paddle sports area of the shop. So when you get a chance, go take a look, give us some feedback, because we're just getting started, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And this will be our last chance to have any questions. If you have a question, just type it into the Facebook feed, and I will relay the question to Doug. Any other things you thought of, Doug, last minute?
No, I'll just wait for my beating from all my friends for giving everything away.
All right. Well, I don't see any more questions, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We appreciate everybody for coming, and really appreciate Doug. I appreciate all the hard work you've gone to put this this event together. And I know over the years, it's been cool to watch the presentation get better and better every year. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. And
You do it.
awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it to Doug to sign off because he's in control of the meeting. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see y'all in the next few weeks.